Let's start with this one. Justin Trudeau tweeting that they're going to launch. They're going to launch, just so I don't misquote it. Update. This is from yesterday, August 31, 2022. Ask yourselves, by the way, they would need another. Why would it have taken 2 years to get this up in the first place, especially in the current global context? But update. The new national hotline for mental health crisis and suicide prevention will launch next year. As of November 30th, 2023, that is 15 months from now, you will be able to call or text 988 to be directed to mental health crisis or suicide prevention services free of charge at any time of day. November 2023. People may recall the sunset provision that was included in the recent legislation, which sought to expand medical assistance in dying. And the controversy around a piece of legislation was when it was being drafted. This is from the Psychiatric Times. When it was being drafted, there was discussion that including a specific exclusion that medical assistance in dying could not be offered to those suffering from mental illness, that could be discriminatory. You can't deny medical assistance in dying to people who are mentally ill, who may in law not be able to consent or contract to certain things. From the Psychiatric Times, this led to a dramatic turn of events in the unelected Canadian Senate. Everyone should appreciate the members of Senate are appointed by the Prime Minister and not elected by the people. The Senate, which is supposed to be the sober afterthought of the House of Commons, the legislature, to make sure that that which the House ratifies, approves, and then submits to the Senate, they are the sober afterthought to make sure that legislation is good, is acceptable, is not problematic. This led to a dramatic turn of events in the unelected Canadian Senate, which considered Bill C-7, this is the one at issue to expand medical assistance in dying. In an unprecedented move, Senator Stan Kutcher, MD, appointed by Justin Trudeau, who was also a psychiatrist, declared that the exclusion of individuals with psychiatric disabilities, also known as mental illness, and I say that without judgment. It's not a derogatory, minimizing term. It's psychiatric disabilities is mental illness. Declared that the exclusion of individuals with psychiatric disabilities would be discriminatory. He introduced an amendment allowing MAID, medical assistance in dying, for mental illness available within 18 months of the bill passing. When the modified legislation was returned to the House of Commons, the discussion was quickly shut down by a Liberal coalition and the Bloc Party from Quebec, a province that promotes euthanasia and aims to restrict conscientious objection to euthanasia by healthcare professionals. A vote was forced on March 17, 2021. C7 expansion of euthanasia in Canada became law, complete with the last-minute amendment to sunset the mental illness exclusion after 2 years. Can we do the math of 2 years from March 2021? Would go to March 2023. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 8 months later, they'll be establishing a hotline. Oh, that was just the homework to show that Kutcher was appointed by Trudeau. They're establishing a mental health suicide prevention hotline while expanding medically assisted suicide to the mentally ill. And this is not to be hyperbolic. This is not to be glib or facetious. If it would be discriminatory to exclude mental illness from medical assistance in dying, will it be discriminatory to try to talk anyone out of it who is suffering from mental illness that calls a hotline for suicide prevention? If it's discriminatory to deny it to them, is it going to be discriminatory to try to talk them out of it if they call this hotline for assistance? Setting aside whether or not, the question as to whether or not they're even going to get the advice that a soldier with PTSD had gotten when he called for assistance. When he called for help, they recommended medical assistance in dying. So the government is touting itself. We're here for you, Canadians. We're going to establish a mental crisis suicide prevention hotline At the exact same time, we are eliminating the exclusion of mental illness from medical assistance in dying. And I say the jokes, the stinging observations, the comments. Is this hotline going to be a client list? People are going to call up this hotline. And by the way, I've seen video now coming out of Saskatchewan where when you call Saskatchewan Health, there's literally an option for MAIDs, for medical assistance in dying. There's literally an option for it. Labels. And I can't vet any of the comments coming through here. I've called a suicide hotline before. They connected me with adult social services and adult services. Adult social services left a calling card at my door that was 4 years ago. That's how it works. MAIDs works quickly, though. It's like sick. It's like a sick joke coming from the government. We're opening up a mental unwellness hotline to try to talk the mentally unwell out of that which we said would be discriminatory to prevent them from having access to. How's that going to work in reality? And literally, is this hotline going to have direct lines to medical assistance in dying? We'll see how it's implemented. And more importantly, 2 years? How quickly did the government implement and spend $1 billion on a vaccine passport for the provinces? How quickly did they find the funds for that? How quickly did the provinces implement vaccine passports to prevent the unvaccinated from going to restaurants, movies, libraries? How quickly did they do that? But when it comes to mental unwellness, mental issues, mental crises, that arguably are the direct consequence of government action, inaction, policy, abuse, whatever, takes 2 years. Takes 2 years. I mean, it's satire meets reality. Here, we're putting up a hotline. Having mental issues? Call us, and we might recommend that which we said would be discriminatory not to offer to you. All right, so that's the latest coming out of Canada.